Hello and welcome to Clockwork and Noodles. Guys, I missed you so much. We took a break and we are back now, episode 13, To Your Eternity. I loved this episode so much. We'll get there in a moment. Make sure you are subscribed because there's a lot of weird stuff going on the channel. There's videos going up, then there's new stuff going up, and there's stuff not going up. I will be re-releasing a channel schedule once I get everything into alignment, work out what's going on. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on that. And if you want the best place to be, Discord is the place to be because I have been asking the guys on there, do you want to see this? Do you want to see this? People have been responding. It's the best place to be as well because you get notified whenever videos go up on the channel. That allows you to never miss anything. So you're always in the loop of whatever's going on. Plenty of good stuff and thank you guys so much. You have been very active recently on Discord, so thank you guys. On the channel itself, it's so-so, but we are plodding along with the summer season. So this is the episode I was really looking forward to because I am a huge fan of our narrator. He is my boy. We know I have a thing for Kenjiro Suda. I am sorry. So actually seeing this week, this is probably the episode where we as an audience start getting some information. Fushi as well starts to get some information and we start to see something quite interesting happening. And I believe what we're initially seeing right at the start is perhaps the 5 stages of grief. I haven't seen all 5, but I've seen a few of them. Initially come back on our boy Fushi, who is now trying to process all of his feelings. And we've got to remember that feelings are very new to him. He's not 100% sure on them. Only recently has he learned how to feel, process what he's feeling, become a bit more aware. It's relatively new to him. He's trying to deal with how do I feel? Why am I feeling this way? How do I cope with how this is? And this can take some people absolute lifetimes to deal with, especially after losing a friend, losing somebody who was close. To Fushi, it was a brother, so they were very close to each other. So he's going through grief, grieving over the loss of family. Whilst Fushi is initially dealing with his feelings, the narrator ends up carrying us with some of his actual narration. And this is something that I think is really, really important. I've seen people complaining about the fact that this series has such heavy narration. To be honest, this is the one series I think that really gets away with having a narrator. There are times where our character can't talk. He's a rock. We need a narrator. The audience needs something. As well, the narrator ends up becoming that one constant in our lives. In a plot that is driven by loss, a plot that is driven by death and the inevitable end of someone, to be honest, the title of this video is probably going to be Memento Mori because that is the lesson that even Piran and the narrator try and tell Fushi. Everything dies. Everything is going to come to an end. That is the cycle of life. In an anime which is always dealing with people who are going to die, the one constant in the anime is our narrator. Fushi himself as well, Fushi and the narrator, because they're obviously interconnected. This is going to be our first talk with the narrator, and I am so happy that it's actually Fushi who calls out the narrator. And he's very sassy at this point. He's a very, very sassy Fushi. But it's one of those first oh my god moments, seeing him calling the narrator out, going, hey, black thing, come here. Fushi, chill. But it's great. And he does appear on command, which furthers my ability to believe that he is omnipotent. I definitely think the narrator can hear him. Obviously he's always watching over Fushi, but he definitely can hear him wherever he is. And he departs upon our young orb some fatherly advice. And the narrator, a little bit further down the line, recognises that I am technically your parent. And I do like the fact that he does give this a bit of advice. He tells him, continue, get stronger. And it's a nice bit of advice. It's something you would tell somebody if they're struggling. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep your head up. It's the first time as well that Fushi is at a point where he's able to reason, logically think, and he's able to even question his own existence, where he starts to question his existence. We see him rejecting the narrator as a parent because obviously March was his parent. But we do see at this point, the narrator actually shows concern for poor Fushi, who is really distressed because he cannot recall March, the lack of the ability to even remember her, someone really important to him, but he just can't remember her. But we see him acting very, very concerned. Obviously, I'm biased. Narrator-san is my boy, but I also like the way that he does interact with Fushi. The next stage of grief we kind of see Fushi displaying is questioning. It's the questioning where he tries to essentially question, why am I alive? Why am I alive? We even see the sorrow desperation section of grief right initially after the loss of Gugu, where he's trying to reason, and he works out that, Gugu is gone. He's not coming back. So he's currently roughly in the reasoning stage where he's trying to make heads or tails of everything. It's just the way that the narrator and Fushi interact, it's cold, but it's also where the narrator is showing us that he's really happy that Fushi is able to start questioning. So he's acting like a bit of a proud parent. He's happy that Fushi can actually question him in this sense. Now, our fake boobs, if you are new to the channel, knockers in the UK is slang for boobs. Sorry, the boobs. Let's get some information on those guys. We are told that they are basically after the one special entity that is Fushi, because they want to be able to control him. So they are leeching after the one thing that stands out in this universe. But then we see Fushi displaying denial. At this point, he's in a different stage of grief. He wants to become a pair. He's like, that's it, I've had enough. I don't want to be me anymore. I'm going to stick my head in the sand. He decides, screw it, I've had enough. Where he decides, best thing is I'm going to be hiding from all this. I don't want to take part in anymore. I'm just going to nope out of life. And this is the point where I was like, oh, that's great. That is fantastic. The narrator is literally like, nope. And he has the power to revert him back into his original form. This is so good. This is so good. Just him being like, no, you're coming back. You're not going to be a pair. You're not going to get away with it this easily. But it's deep. It really is deep, because he tells Fushi that you're never going to be able to return to being you if you end up reverting back into the orb. So if you let the knockers win, the boobs win, you end up losing all of the abilities to turn into something. You become the orb and you'll never be anything more. So you officially eventually die. We don't know if the orb itself was alive. So Fushi can die, but it's just really, really insanely difficult to get him to die unless you are a fake boob. He does get questioned, why can't you fight? Where the narrator tells him, I can't control your mind. And we've obviously seen Fushi goes through the narrator when he tries to hit him. So the narrator would be pretty useless trying to do anything in the real world, because no one can see him. He can't interact with anything. And he does say that I can't even fight. The narrator does also tell us something which is in that memento mori field. One day the narrator is going to be gone. I theorise this will be when Fushi has finally hit the max level, finally conscious, thinking, logical, everything, being able to make decisions for himself, when he no longer essentially needs him. But it's quite a sad thought, thinking that even our narrator, somebody who seems otherworldly, godly, even the concept of death to him is real. So Fushi is told, you need to prepare because one day I'm not going to be there, which makes me wonder if it's sooner than we think that the clock is really starting to tick. But again, it's the one thing we need to take away from even just this anime as a whole. All things come to an end. Fushi then, at this point, having a nice little, quite cute, childish drop, telling the narrator, I've given up, I've had enough, I don't care anymore, I'm done. Which I think is great, because we see the narrator acting to his troublesome child, and it's just the way it's like, oh god, really? Come on. It's cute. He tells him, do you really want to give up? And that is when Fushi catches Piran's scent, which is all done on purpose, because the narrator knows that that's not the case. Fushi, you haven't given up. It ends the first narrator-Fushi talk, but it was such a good talk, guys. Good talk, guys. Good talk. Where Fushi ends up galloping off after catching the scent of Piran, showing to the audience, no, I haven't given up. He still cares, and he catches that scent and he goes running straight to it. The narrator ends up smiling as he runs away, which kind of gave me the idea that he's happy. He knew what was going on. He was happy that that was what was going to happen. I do hope before the narrator passes away that the two can at least grow and have a relationship with one another, because they seem to be teaching one another different things. The narrator learns through Fushi starting to learn through the narrator. Piran is finally back to actually try and help this time. I did wonder if she would come back, because that story didn't feel like it was over just yet. But we do see one of the funniest fights this episode. Fushi versus Piran. Yes, we never thought we'd see it, but we see it. Because Fushi tries to tell her to F off. He doesn't want her to die. He does it through kindness, and he's also terrified of losing people, where she's like, nah, I'm not taking that from you. And my goodness, this lady has fire in her gut, and she bites him in the leg. I love it. It was great. Pirin eventually smacking some sense into our boy, probably what he needs right now. Fushi sulkingly finally agrees, fine, you can come with me, I don't care. Back to being sulking. This is his sulking moment. I like it. But deep down, you know that he's kind of glad that she's there because he accepts the blanket off of her. And I think he's probably glad that he doesn't have to be alone with the creepy half-hooded figure anymore. You know, it's good. Fushi's one line to Pirin, sadly, is don't die, which goes against the fact everything does come to an end. And that is the lesson that Fushi is going to have to learn at some point. The narrator trying to tell him that. Even Pirin says the same thing. So Pirin is even like, well, it's going to happen eventually. In the mid-credit scene board, we can see Gugu has finally joined the cast, slowly getting more and more faces up here, getting a tad bit more crowded. I would love them to add the Rock and any of the other little weird forms that he could turn into as well. That would make it really, really busy. But is anyone else actually enjoying the Fushi talking to his dad, calling him very randomly, getting very, very sassy, coming, where are you? Come out. Where are they? That was funny. Anyone else kind of enjoying those little moments? The fact that Fushi can now summon the narrator into the story whenever he wants. That is great. And I love the fact that he so willingly just comes out as well to help him. It's also very, very handy that the narrator knows where our enemy is. He tells us that they haven't moved for 4 days. They've basically burrowed underground. They've gone into hibernation. But it's handy. It's definitely going to be handy. So Fushi, you might want to actually keep on some good terms with the narrator. And finally, Pirin is told everything, making her the first character in the story who knows everything about the mysterious hooded figure, absolutely everything. And she decides to part something a little bit different, some different advice from the going it strong. What do you want to do? And this is, I feel like it's something that a lot of parents, mums in particular, just go is like, what does your heart tell you to do? What do you actually want to do? Where Fushi actually starts to logically think about what it is he wants. He wants to save Pirin, but Pirin even says, don't take that into consideration, you know. That doesn't have to be a thing. You don't have to save everybody. The narrator even knew where Pirin was, so Fushi is irritated that the narrator kind of used this, but it's just great. And also during this point, we see that Fushi has forgotten March. Now, Pirin acts as our trigger. She is the reason that Fushi is able to recall March without physically getting the form back just yet. He's able to recall that March was a part of him. He can remember going up a tree. She was taken. This is what the narrator is trying to tell him. She is something that means so much to you. A part of you has been stolen away. This is also the first time we see Fushi saying March's name and recalling how important she was to him for the first time at the level he is now, with the level of understanding that he has. He's able to reason right now. So it's really, really important seeing this the first time him going, wait, she was really important to me. And as well, another parental moment, narrator boy. He appears at this moment when he works out that March is very important to him, which is quite comforting in fact. I always said that the narrator is our one constant. It's really comforting to see him popping up more and more. And the line, which I think probably the second most important line of this episode, you only die when you are truly forgotten. So Fushi is keeping the people who have meant a lot to him alive in a sense. They haven't truly died. The nameless boy isn't truly gone forever without no one knowing him because Fushi is remembering him. The backboard is remembering him. I also had a theory, I don't know if you guys are interested, but we keep seeing, and a few of us have noted that every time a character dies, they are produced with a happy vision of all the people in their lives and happy moments. And I was talking to one of you guys on Discord, Jinsei, hello, hi, there's your shout out. We were talking, and initially it made me realise that we've seen Gugu and March's ghosts. They were the ones who interlocked. They saw each other when Fushi couldn't see them, and Fushi was sad that Gugu was dead. However, we did note that the nameless boy was not there. Now, what I thought was different between it is when we first see the nameless boy, he sees his villagers, he dies, he sees them, and he's happy to finally see them all. He goes on with his villagers. He doesn't look back. Now, when it comes to March and Gugu, they see their happiness. We see a grown-up March. I told you how beautiful she was. But they start to realise there's somebody missing. Like, March realises her son is missing. Gugu goes, wait, I'm missing my brother. They both look back. They both go back for Fushi. So I believe that, this is my theory on the ghosts, because it's been bothering me a little bit. I believe that they are the real spirits of the ghosts following him around, watching him, keeping an eye on him. That's the reason why Nameless Boy isn't there. He ended up crossing over happy. There was nothing left for him. There was no regrets. He looked after his wolf till the end. His big thing was finding his village, and he found them. With these two, I do wonder if that's going to be a plot line we see come back a bit later on. But that's my theory. I wanted to get it out there with you guys. Be interesting to see what your thoughts are on that one. Now, Fushi ends up becoming very self-aware this episode. This is the best episode for him because he uses the narrator and Gugu's teachings to work out a few things. One, he can never become an inanimate object or he's going to lose everything. He knows the knockers will attack him. As the narrator says, you will be abused at that point. They're just going to take it from you. You're not going to fight. That's you going passive and giving up. He also knows that he needs stimulation. He learnt through Gugu that painful things hurt. He also tells us for the first time he can pick up pain of other people, other animals all around him. He was unable to gut the fish that Gugu was doing because it hurt him. This is something quite new to us. I think maybe there's been hints that that is the case, but because he picks up the bear's pain. But this is pretty much the first time we see it with the crab that he's unable to sit through it because it's painful to him. But he does decide that I can't become a crab, but I can summon a corpse. So he can't summon a soul of an animal. So he can't generate something living. We also get to go through a bit of the science of heating up a stone, making it brittle, which could be our answer to defeating the boobs. We just need to adjust and become versatile. So initially, we were going to go to an uninhabited island for training. There would have been a fun one, but if things had gone that way. Pirin also tells him that worrying will become your own prison. If you worry too much, you're never going to get anywhere in life. You have to just kind of sometimes take a risk. Where we are now entering the next arc. This is our next arc. And I saw the character in particular because we've seen her in the OP, obviously. So I picked up on her quite early on. I actually crossed it out. I was like, that can't be her. It is her. It is her. So this is a very dark twist. But then again, most of these arcs are very dark. The Pirin and Fushi end up being tricked onto a different boat. They are separated out. It's very, very dark. And they are separated by the young girl in the hat. That is our next main character. The girl who eventually will die and Fushi will take on her appearance. Presumably, as if the anime wants to eventually drop that idea. But I think it is going to be the thing it's carrying on. And we are on a prison convoy. We are heading to an island called Janada. This is the island, so we didn't go where we wanted to go. There's no training montage. However, there's going to be a very painful training montage next episode by the looks of things. So Fushi ends up somehow being saved because he hasn't got a mark on his hand. He's able to take the branding away. Where he breaks out with the help of the same girl, asking where Pirin is, who then she says something quite concerning that everybody ends up smiling, which is concerning. But we are back into a new society who rely on slavery, the use of slavery. The next character ends up seeing Fushi coming back to life. Been a while since he died. He ends up plummeting to his death and dying. I don't like her initially, so this is going to be different I loved Gugu-ish from the start. He grew on me, but I didn't mind him. March I love from the start. The wolf I love. This is the first character we're introduced to where you've got to raise a few eyebrows. It's like you helped put an old woman and this boy on a slave ship. And you are totally aware of what you've done. So, question mark with this new character. Going to be interesting. I guess that keeps things spicy when it comes to this trope. But she does say that, you can't get over that wall. I don't know how to get over that wall. And initially that goes round. This is a prison island, apparently. So, there's no getting off it regardless. But Fushi even says, you did it on purpose. So, we are at a point where at least he's able to talk at this point. Can you imagine if he had got to this point without the ability to talk and without meeting Gugu, if they had been swapped? It would have been a very different story if you had have swapped the events around. Coming up our way, it looks like we're going into an arena match. I'm not looking forward to this. Poor boy's going to go through so much pain. But there's been a lot of links to different periods of history in the arcs. I feel like we've just entered the Roman period because we're going into, fighting in a Colosseum. This feels like we've entered the Roman or the Greek period at this point. Probably more the Roman period. But we are left with the idea that someone from the past is stalking Fushi. In my head, that is two people. One, it could be March's sister. I love her. I would like to see her come back. I don't know. Or it could be the evil cow who killed March. One of those two women is following us, but we don't know who yet. It has been one hell of an episode. It's jam-packed with a lot of goodness, a lot of good information. We're starting to get some fun interactions with the narrator and Fushi. So narrator becoming a bit more important in the story, not just a guy who's just there to lead us along. He's becoming a bit more active. He can be called upon by Fushi. Fushi is great now. He's able to reason, logically talk, great. He's made leaps and bounds. I love the fact that his own narrator parent was happy about this. Very happy to see Pirin again, but now where is she gone? Are we going to be able to save her? She's an old woman. Is she eventually going to die? And Fushi might be able to take on Pirin's appearance, maybe? That would be quite sad. But I am loving it. The new arc is underway, guys. What do you think of our new character from what we've seen of her so far? Who do you think is stalking? Can't wait. I'll see you guys next week. And make sure Trauma Monday is okay for you guys. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.